Once, when the narrator was still very young, he drew a picture. He did not draw it casually, nor did he draw it for praise. He drew it because something inside him needed to be seen. To him, the meaning of the drawing was perfectly clear, almost painfully clear. It was a boa constrictor that had swallowed an elephant whole. It was not imagination pretending to be reality. It was reality misunderstood by those who no longer imagined. When he showed this drawing to the grown-ups, not a single one of them paused with curiosity. No one tilted their head. No one leaned closer. No one asked, "What could this be?" No one looked twice. They all said the same thing, in the same tone, with the same certainty. "Why did you draw a hat?" In that moment, the child learned something very early in life, something that would quietly shape everything that followed. Adults believe they see the world clearly, but in truth, they only see what they are used to seeing. They recognize shapes, but not meanings. They notice surfaces, but not depths. So he drew a second picture. This time he removed all ambiguity. He showed the inside of the boa constrictor. The elephant was visible, the snake was visible, everything was explained, everything was obvious. But the adults found this drawing too complicated. They frowned, they sighed, they advised him to focus on more practical things, geography, mathematics, history, things that could be measured, things that required no imagination. That day, the child stopped drawing, not because he stopped imagining, but because he learned to stop sharing his imagination. He grew up, he became a pilot, and life taught him how to live like an adult, how to calculate, how to navigate, how to survive, without completely abandoning the child within. The child remained quiet but alert, waiting for the rare moment when someone would recognize him. Years later, one day his airplane broke down over the Sahara Desert. The engine failed, maps lost their meaning, the radio fell silent. After the forced landing, he found himself completely alone in the middle of endless sand. No roads, no landmarks, no voices. He had only a few days of water and no one else in sight. He spent the first night beneath the stars. Desert nights teach a person what loneliness is, but they also strip away noise. They quiet the world enough for the inner voice to speak clearly. At sunrise, he heard a small but confident voice. "Please, draw me a sheep." The voice was not afraid. It did not hesitate. It asked, not demanded, yet it expected to be answered. When he opened his eyes, he saw a little boy standing before him. He had golden hair. His expression was calm, almost timeless. Being in the desert seemed perfectly natural to him, as if being lost did not exist at all, as if he belonged everywhere and nowhere at once. This boy was the little prince. The pilot was surprised but not frightened. There was no danger in the child's eyes, only curiosity, quiet intelligence, and a strange familiarity. The little prince asked questions, but he never rushed. He listened carefully. He immediately recognized wrong answers and patiently waited for the right ones, as though truth always arrived eventually if one allowed it time. The pilot drew sheep. The first looked sick. The second looked old. The third was not right either. At last, losing patience, the pilot drew a box. "The sheep is inside." The little prince's face lit up, because some things become real not when they are shown, but when they are imagined. As the days passed, two lonely beings became companions in the desert. The little prince asked questions at night when the stars felt closer. The pilot worked on repairing his plane, his hands busy while his mind slowly reopened to wonder. During the day, they often remained silent, and in that silence, something gentle and rare grew between them. Eventually, the little prince began to speak about where he came from, a very small planet, barely larger than a house, asteroid B162. On this planet, there were 3 volcanoes, Two were active, one was extinct, but it was still cleaned regularly because one day it might be useful again. Nothing was dismissed entirely. Even what seemed finished was treated with care. The real danger, however, came from the baobab trees. At first, they appeared harmless, just tiny sprouts easily overlooked. But if they were not removed in time, their roots would grow strong enough to tear the planet apart. Every morning, the little prince cleaned his planet. This was not routine. It was responsibility. It was awareness. Because small, neglected things, if ignored, eventually grow into disasters that cannot be undone. And on this planet, there was also a flower, a single rose. Beautiful, proud, fragile, sometimes demanding, sometimes painfully delicate. She tried to appear strong, but she was easily wounded. Her vanity was a shield. Her words were defenses. The little prince cared for her. He watered her, protected her from the wind, and listened to her complaints. He gave her time. He gave her attention, but he did not yet understand love. He mistook her pride for cruelty, her silence for indifference. He was confused. His heart was hurt. And one day, despite loving her deeply, he decided to leave his planet, not because he didn't love the rose, but because he did not yet know how to love. During his journey before reaching Earth, he visited 6 small planets. On each planet lived a single adult, and each one represented something that people lose as they grow up. On one planet lived a king. He believed he ruled everything, but he only gave orders for things that would happen anyway. In this way, he was always right. On another planet lived a vain man. He constantly demanded admiration even when no one was there. He was deeply lonely, but unaware of it. On another planet lived a drunkard. He drank because he was ashamed, and he was ashamed because he drank. He could not escape this closed circle. On another planet lived a businessman. He counted the stars and claimed to own them, yet he never truly looked at them. On another planet lived a lamplighter. Because his planet rotated too quickly, he worked without rest. He respected him for he served something greater than himself. On the final planet lived a geographer. He recorded everything but explored nothing. He valued permanence, not experience. It was he who suggested Earth. When the little prince arrived on Earth, he was overwhelmed. It was vast, crowded, confusing. He met a snake who spoke in riddles and described death not as an end, but as a return. He met a flower who lied, not out of cruelty, but because she didn't know any better. Then he discovered a rose garden, hundreds of roses. In that moment, the little prince felt a deep ache. He believed his rose was not unique. He felt deceived, small, replaceable. But this breaking point did not lead him into darkness. It led him to understanding. Then he met a fox. The fox asked to be tamed and explained what taming meant: to create ties, to give time, to be patient, to accept responsibility. As the days passed, a bond formed between them, and when the time came to part, the fox shared the most important lesson of all. What is a sigil is invisible to the eye, and you are responsible forever for what you have tamed. Now the little prince understood. What made his rose special was not that she was the only one, but the time he had given her. Love was not possession. Love was attention. In the desert, the little prince knew it was time to return. His body could not travel the way his heart did. The snake returned. The little prince was not afraid, because now he knew what truly matters cannot be seen. The snake bit him. The little prince fell, lightly like an empty shell. The pilot repaired his plane. He survived, but the world inside him was no longer the same. Now when he looked at the stars, he did not hear silence, he heard laughter. And the narrator made one final request of the reader. If one day you walk through the desert and see a laughing, golden-haired boy, please tell him that he has not been forgotten, because the little prince never truly left. He continues to live inside everyone who can see more than just a hat. If this gentle journey touched something inside you, if it reminded you of a truth you once knew, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us keep telling stories that speak softly yet stay with us forever. Until the next story, don't forget to look at the stars.